This week, we're cracking the case with Confess Fletch, directed by Greg Mottola and starring John Hamm. As Fletch becomes tangled in a murder mystery amid a quest for stolen art, will his charm save him from a crime he didn't commit? Join us as we unpack the laughs and mysteries in this latest installment of the Fletch saga. This is Flip Flop. Before we get started, please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy these reviews and would like to see more. We would greatly appreciate it, and it would help our little channel grow. Fletch.
Real quick, Rotten Tomatoes has this sitting with the critics at 86. Audience has this at 75. So it is. It was well received. You know, this is funny. I didn't even know this movie had come out.
Yeah.
I don't know anything as far as a release, if it was released, you know, because we're not doing that deep dive stuff anymore as part of our show anymore. So I don't dig that deep into it, but I just truly don't remember this movie being talked about, being coming out. And I'll say what threw me a little bit on this is years ago, I'm talking probably a decade or maybe even longer ago, Kevin Smith was attached to the Fletch franchise.
I do kind of recall hearing that. Man,
So
it's been a while, but yeah.
because I went out and I remember going out and buying some of the paperbacks because I was like, oh, Kevin Smith, because, you know, we're both fans of Kevin.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see, like, I think he would have done a good job with these films because this is right up his alley. And then it never came to fruition. And I really just forgot about the series. And then when you and I were talking, I think you brought this film up and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know there was another Fletch film.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. I wanted to look up real quick and see if it actually mentioned how much money it made, because to see the reviews on it.
Yeah. But was it released? Like,
it says it was released in select theaters in 2022. And then it had a premiere on Showtime. So interesting on that. I don't know.
So,
like, some of the confusion I have on it is one of the questions I had was whether they're going to kind of continue the franchise using John Hamm.
mm-hmm.
And I guess not. I guess they've made the decision, even in light of the, reception of it. They still have no plans to do anymore.
Are there more films coming out or just none?
No, there's no more. It says that there was a planned sequel which would have adapted Fletch's fortune from the novels, which got canceled. The CEO of Miramax, John Glickman, decided to scrap the project.
Yeah, well, John.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know. It doesn't really seem like there's any specifics on why that happened, but I don't know. We can get into it after we discuss how we felt about this. We can decide whether that was a good thing or not. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Hang on, man. Stuff's happening here. My system is moving. Sorry.
Get it together, Andy.
I know. It's like I can see stuff happening. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, okay. Let's go to our ratings so we can talk about this and move on.
A quick reminder that our rating system is unconventional. We don't hand out stars, we hand out poos and TPs, up to 5 of them. And just to add more confusion, the more we give, the crappier we think the film is. Crappier, get it? Yeah, it's dumb, but that's the way we do it. All right, go for it.
So Gary, I'm coming at this thing with a 3.
Okay.
3 poops. My general consensus of this film was meh.
Really? Okay.
And I have just a short little thing. My struggle with this film was the comparison, the constant comparison to Chevy Chase's character.
And I'm sorry, who are you again?
I'm Frida's boss.
Who's Frida?
My secretary.
My name is Igor Stravinsky, and I'm calling about some ranch property I'd like to buy.
Hey, do us a favor, pal. Name's Liddy. Gordon Liddy.
Who are you?
I'm Don Corleone, Mrs. Kavanaugh's cousin.
Yeah?
Hi there, I'm Harry S. Truman from Casewell Insurance.
Now, I like John Hamm. He's a fine actor. I have zero problem with Hamm doing this. I just found myself the entire time I'm watching this thinking, how would Chevy Chase have done this? Would he have made this funny, or would that have played differently? And I know that's not fair to do, but that's just what I did.
That's interesting. Okay.
And I thought the story was just mediocre. I just had nothing. I mean, I literally, and I hate to say this because I was a little bored watching this. I was by myself. There was no influence. I was just watching this movie, and I was like, I was confused a little on what's going on, and I just wasn't quite buying any of it. And I watched it to the end, and there were some moments I did laugh. I'm not saying it's got some moments that are funny. One moment in particular, I wrote down 27 minutes in. There's a kitchen scene with the neighbor.
Right.
I was laughing a lot during that whole scene because the way Ham's playing off the neighbor, and she's really aloof and catching fire, and then cuts her finger.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to eat that part, are you?" And she's that scene. I was like, "That's pretty." And he has moments where I did laugh. So I'm not saying it's a total not a good movie. It just was, to me, it was just very mediocre. And
before we go much further, let me go ahead and give you my review, my rating.
Yeah.
And then we can talk a little bit further. Andy, I think we're going to find ourselves a little thin on paper.
Oh boy.
I gave this a 1 GP.
Wow.
I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. And we can talk about that. But,
okay.
But to get to your discussion of kind of comparing it to the other films, it's funny because if you go back and watch the previous Chevy Chase Fletch films, the first one is so much more the character from the books. Have you read any of the books? I don't know if we ever talked about this.
I don't recall if I've ever read it. I know I bought a couple of them like we talked minutes ago.
Yeah.
I can't recall reading any of them. And I think I messaged you. I was going to try to get this one read before we film tonight, but I just didn't have time.
Yeah. I read a couple. Now it's funny because you get sidetracked and you start doing other stuff. And I kept wanting to kind of endeavor to go back and read all the books, which I think now I might go back and start over.
Yeah.
Just so I could try to read the whole series. And, I was a huge fan of the first Fletch movie. Yeah. I still think that's closer to the book.
Okay.
Fletch. And I thought in the second movie was not based on any of the books.
Okay.
And if you remember the second one at all, I remember it being, I just didn't find it as good as the first one. Okay. I found it was just a little lacking. I don't remember exactly why. It just wasn't as good as the first one. Yeah. I don't know if it has anything to do with the character or not. But when I read the books was much later than having seen those films and them being kind of in my memory. And I remember reading the books and getting a little bit different take on the character, feeling like there's a lot of one-liners. There's a lot of good humor in the books. I mean, the character's great.
Okay.
He's got a lot of great lines, but it's not so. I think this is maybe where the second one failed a little bit. Chevy Chase has got a lot of that slapstick kind of, physical comedy that he brings to stuff. And I think maybe that doesn't quite play as well with the character after you've kind of read it. And to me, that was the difference in watching this movie is I felt like there was none of that sort of physical stuff going on. It was all in the quick wit and the retorts. And I will say I saw this movie twice. I saw it when it first came to video or streaming or whatever. And then when we decided to watch it, I had to rewatch it to write notes down because this old addled brain can't keep a lot of stuff in memory and I have to rewatch stuff just so I can recall. But I remember watching it the second time and I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff I'm pretty sure I missed the first time around because there are lines that he just comes back with stuff really quickly. And I know I missed some of the note, like just the little retorts that he had. I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was it was pretty true to the character. I'm not sure which book this is from. Maybe it's called that. I'm not sure. I didn't go back and look that part up. But I enjoyed it. I thought John Hamm was really good in the part. I was really personally disappointed to see that they had planned to have another one and didn't because I thought he played the character pretty well. Yeah. Is this the best plot? Maybe not. It does have there's a little bit of with the whole art thing and it's at one point, I think the first time I watched it, you're not entirely sure what's going on, but it kind of plays itself out as it goes, but you're still kind of lost a little bit in the plot. I think it's a little clearer when I watched it the second time that, now I kind of remember this and all that. But that's it. I mean, that's mostly my notes for the whole movie. So,
well, and like I'm glad you liked it as much as you did. You know, I wanted to like it more. It just being honest, it was just okay. But there's a if you remember in the movie, he makes a point about not wearing shoes,
Mhm.
which I'm on board with. I don't like wearing shoes and socks either. But they never really explore that or explain it. So I don't know why it was necessary to A, mention it, or B, not explain it. She makes a point of it. His feet are talked about a couple of times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but maybe they're going to talk about, like, is there a reason? And again, this is nothing that's earth shattering. It's not important. But these are things when I'm watching the film, I was like, what? Why even bring that up? Like, it's not important if it's not.
Could have been fan service. I'm pretty sure that's
it's a
something
quirk.
from
It's a quirk, but who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, I don't know. I don't have much more. I mean, it was, yeah, like I said, I wasn't angry. I don't hate it. It just was like, I don't know. And I guess I should read the books. Maybe his character's closer to the book. I don't know. It just,
I mean, from my recollection, yes, but
it's just unfortunate. And this is not just this film. When we've talked about when we did The Crow, whenever there's remakes or introducing a newer version of it or re-update, whatever you want to call it, the comparison's always there.
yeah.
And I don't know that it always works. I'm sure we can probably cite some examples where James Bond has made a career out of changing Bonds. And I don't know if that's good or bad either.
Yeah.
But this just, I just started watching it, and I went in, I feel like I went in with a very open mind. But as I'm watching, I just kept saying, like, I don't know, I think Chevy Chase would have done this a little differently. And I was doing a disservice to John Hamm, because I think John Hamm's a fine actor. And I think he's got some comedy skills. Again, he did fine. I just kept comparing him to the original, and I think that was unfair to the movie. And
Well, I will say that, that's a good note to take away. I think anybody that's going to watch this based on anything that we've said, keep in mind that I don't think you're doing yourself a good service to compare. Here's the nice thing. This is not a remake.
right.
It's just taken from another one of the novels and done with this, with a different actor, obviously. So that is, at least to me, that's way better than the idea of redoing The Crow or something where you're not even remotely close to source material or whatever. This was taking same character, but a different chapter, a different book.
Yeah.
So if you go into this trying to not make those comparisons, I think you'll come out of it enjoying the film. I think there's a lot there to enjoy. If you're going to sit and compare it to Chevy Chase all the time, like Andy, I could definitely understand why.
Yeah, you won't enjoy it.
It would be mixed.
Yeah, you won't enjoy it as much. Again, I didn't hate it. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. I know it's kind of a boring review, but that's what it is. But I didn't want to, I didn't want to tap out, because that's forbidden.
You've only done it once. Which brings me to a couple movies that I want to talk to you after this, because I've got two that I watched. I'm pretty sure that you would tap out of, but we can skip that, and hopefully you'll see them here on the channel at some point.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go watch Confess Fletch and let us know in the comments what you thought of it. Do you agree with me? Agree with Andy? Maybe you've got a different opinion. Maybe it's complete garbage to you. Whatever. We'd like to hear it in the comments. We appreciate you watching. Thanks.
This has been a Touch of Madness production, brought to you by the creative minds at Tommy Twins Media.